if you're going to do something wrong, do it right. Well, this guy, another UKIP candidate called Peter Lello, he's gone all out. Peter Lello, who is a UKIP candidate, who is interestingly a homosexual. I hope that he's going to apologise for causing those floods in the West Country. And I wonder what his opinion is of the other guy from UKIP who thinks that, you know, psychiatrists should be allowed to, they should be allowed to use gay conversion therapy. But there you go. Peter Lello. Now, bearing in mind this is a UKIP candidate, Peter Lello has been arrested for sexually assaulting a homeless Bulgarian immigrant man. I mean, you can't... What else could you have chucked on there? Maybe if he was a Bulgarian Muslim, you could have made that one perfect. I do have to say at this moment, he's only alleged to have done it. He's just been arrested. But he was suspended. He was suspended as an underwriter at the government's export credits guarantee department following his release. He's been released on bail until next month. And this apparently happened in Lewisham. But there you go. I mean, that's just brilliant. I mean, it may not be true, but just for now, let's just say it is. Speaking of other right-wing nutters in this country, now this is not a news story. It's an interesting one. It's curious that this one's come up. I think it came up because again there was a public announcement of it, a reminder. But this is actually something that's been in place for a while. The Church of England, which is the state church of England, obviously, along with her Madge, the Church of England, and I know a lot of people are not mad about it. Now, this is one thing, when people say Britain is a Christian country, they do actually have to, you know, that is technically true. Even though as a society we are much less religious as America, that bangs on all the time that it's got separation of church and state. Well, you know, that's all well and good, but I think ultimately it depends on how religious the population really are as to whether that matters or not. I mean, in this country, in America, you've got 80 to 85% church attendance and only 15 to 20% non-church attendance in the population. Interestingly, those numbers are reversed in this country. No one goes to frigging church over here. And no one goes to frigging church. And this is why it's funny when you always get... I mean, you've got some churches now that operate as mosques. And it's funny that you always get, like, the EDL and the BNP, they always go, oh, God, we've got churches being used as mosques. I'm like, well, it's because you fuckers ain't going to them. When was the last time you saw any of these fuckers going to church? I can't think of it, you know. I can't remember the last time I saw anyone, but the Church of England has banned clergy from joining the BNP and National Front. Well, let's get that straight. They haven't banned the clergy from joining, but what they are saying is if you are found to be a member of the BNP or the National Front, you basically you're not going to be allowed to practice in the Church of England. But read from the article here. This is one from The Guardian. Church of England clergy face being defrocked. Ooh. If they are found to be members of the British National Party after bishops ruled that the organisations were unchristian. And there's nothing worse, there's nothing more embarrassing for a clergyman to be defrocked by a bishop, because it turns out you're racist. The church said the two groups were incompatible with the teachings of the Church of England, which is interesting. That was as an organisation, it was founded by Henry VIII on essentially the principles of rape and pillage. He wanted to be able to marry and fuck whoever he wanted, and so that was the sort of basis of the Church of England. I mean, the Church of England is an interesting religion. It's as close to atheism as you can get while still believing in God. It's a very, very watered down. I'm all for it, quite frankly. But interesting one now. Obviously, the Christian remains here. What about other parties now? Obviously, UKIP would come in here. But it says here the bishops moved to, in effect, ban the two parties come after the General Synod gave final approval in 2012 to legislation making it unbecoming or inappropriate. A church spokesman said it had not considered including the UK Independence Party, which has been accused of racism and widely attacked for its anti-immigration rhetoric during the recent elections, on the proscribed list because it was not overtly racist. Now, let's not say that. It's not saying it's because it's not racist. It's saying it's because it's not overtly racist. Which is weird, because technically speaking, if you read the BNP manifestos, it's not overtly racist if you take it at face value, if you ignore the history and the lineage of the party, which dates back to, or which can be traced back, to as far back as to and beyond, the British Union of Fascists, led by Oswald Mosley, who was mates with Hitler and supported by the Daily Mail in the 1930s. But the interesting about this is, this has been going on for a while, and the BNP, to combat this, in order to give, because the problem is, because the BNP cannot have no religious people, no sort of clergymen or members of any British or English church want to be seen supporting the BNP, and to be fair, very few of them do. The BNP went to great lengths. I'm not making this up. They went to great lengths to do this, to try and put themselves across as a Christian, which is what they purport to be. They report to be a Christian. They want this to remain a white Christian country, to quote Nick Griffin. They decided to create a fake vicar. A fake vicar goes by a guy who's a former Tory, a former member of the Conservative Party who was kicked out of the Tories a long time ago, but he goes by the name of Robert West. I'll leave links below to a YouTube video showing Mr. West, and he set up and he's the head of an organisation called the Christian Coalition Foundation, or something like that. It's the and the funny thing about it is, he's the leader of it, but purely by default, because it's only got one member. He claims to be a member of an Episcopalian church, and the church in question, the Episcopalian church, has never heard of him. He's never been a member. He's never been associated with them. He's never. So it's people say it's bad enough when you get these creationists who pretend to be scientists, but here we've got a guy who's pretending to be a fundamentalist. He's not even part of a church. At least pretending to be a scientist makes sense.